Municipal Light Board Commissioners meeting for, what is the 10th of April. And with that, we'll start off with, on the agenda tonight, first will be citizen query, and citizen query will be open from 7 o'clock till 7:10. Anyone in the audience have any questions? Or not questions, but any queries? Okay. None? Okay, we'll move on to review and accept previous minutes. Have the minutes been read?
Yes. Reviewed minutes.
Reviewed the minutes. I find them in order. Find them in order also?
Yeah, I didn't find any either.
Well,
Yeah.
there was just one change. I
Oh.
spelled the Persia wrong, so.
I'm sorry.
I spelled Brian's last name incorrectly. So the one you're gonna sign tonight have his name spelled
Okay.
correctly.
All right, what did I do with did you hand me them, the minutes?
No, I believe Eric did.
Eric did? All right. I might have buried them.
I haven't seen it.
Hold on one second. I made a copy anyway, so. All right,
Seasoned veteran.
there we go. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I have a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those are accepted. There you go, Brian. Make sure I got everything here. There we go.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Oh, here we go. Here's the top part of it. Okay. At the table with us tonight is Kathy Tilton. Kathy is the accountant.
Katie, yep.
Katie, I'm sorry, Katie.
That's okay, happens all the time.
Okay. There's a lot of Kathys in my life, that's why I said.
We missed number 3.
Excuse me?
Missed number 3.
Yes, I'm gonna go back. I just wanted to introduce her.
Nice
Who's
to
at the
meet you.
table with us tonight. Okay. All right. Moving on to item number 3 is the Raleigh Solar LLC update.
All right. So as far as Raleigh Solar goes, UPG was out there and tested the high voltage cable. I spoke with Mark a little earlier today. He met up there with the bank, I believe it was, and did an inspection of all the equipment. They did find that we need to put some lightning arresters on the elbows inside the pad mount transformers. He talked it over with the site supervisor. And basically, Raleigh Solar will just need, I imagine, they will need a sign off from conservation and from the planning board. And Raleigh Light Department is switch ready and ready to go. All work's been done, tested, complete. Guys did a great job. Everything looks nice, and they're ready to go.
No comments?
No comment, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Matt. Moving on to item number 4. Financial report and budgets.
Would be Katie's show. We're just going to talk about the cash deficit that we had ending in 2018. We went over the last meeting and a little bit of the meeting before. The fact that the purchase power costs were $633,000 more. There was a lot of different factors that contributed to that. Had to do with natural gas, a little bit of the spot market. Had to do, the cold snap that we had. And Katie can certainly shed some light on the history. She's been the accountant for Raleigh Light Department for 16 years. Is that
No, 12.
12?
Yes. So yes, last month meeting I wasn't here, but I know what was discussed. So I know the biggest issue was the cash deficit in the operating account. And what contributed to that, in addition to the increased cost and purchase power, we still contributed monthly to the depreciation account, our investments. We purchased $270,000 worth of capital assets, or as you call them, plant assets, and still put money into the OPEB fund. So the cash moving from there plus the increased cost is what caused your deficit. So this past month, Matt and I met or spoke with Karen, and we transferred 55,000.
460, I think it was.
460 out of the stabilization account to make us whole. And then as far as this year's going, it's already, we've been tracking with the budget. For the first time, I've actually gotten a budget to compare it to. And we're $175,000 over budget for revenue. We're still, power costs are still up, not as much. And our total expenses for Jan and Feb, March isn't done yet, are $143,000 over budget. But $135,000 of that is made up of the power costs. So in the grand scheme of things, you are, there's $7,000 budget sway, but you're $175,000 up on revenue. You've made $31,000 this year. The budget is to break even or have a little bit of money. I mean, technically you're a nonprofit, so you're not going to want to have a lot anyway.
Sure.
But you're already trending much better than you were last year at this point. Plus, if we continue to go the way we are going, then we'll probably be able to repay some of that money back into the stabilization account when cash gets better. The only other issue I think that was discussed was the cost of health insurance. So what has always been done in the past is Raleigh pays about $130,000 in July for the entire year, and going forward they want us to do it on a monthly basis, which from a cash perspective is a better scenario anyway, because we're only going to lay out $10,000 a month as opposed to $130,000 at once. There isn't anything else that has overspent or underspent other than just the cost of power, but your revenue is up to offset that by $40,000. So
Where does our stabilization sit right now?
after the move, I think moved up 400.
Yeah, it was eight. It was
It
like
was eight some-
856
yeah, so it's
or
probably like-
876 or
yeah.
something.
Okay.
It's still up
And
there,
how
and you
much
still
will-
have 4.5 million in depreciation. I mean, you're in a very good cash position.
Okay.
Yep.
As we go forward with stabilization, to add to it, because I know that's important for, if anybody looks for a bond rating and looks at us, how much will we be putting away into the stabilization?
Well, first we're gonna make sure we have, the operating fund stays.
Okay.
So it's build up, the plan we talked about was more or less
Yeah.
build the cash flow up,
Okay.
and then we'll start
Right.
repaying
So
that
put it
rate
in.
stave. And like Katie said, there is 4.5 in the depreciation fund, which compared to a lot of other local municipals is, it was turned over, and other than the little cash flow hiccup, I call it, it really was turned over in excellent financial condition.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Questions?
All right. Anything else, Katie? To add to
Nope.
that? Brian,
That's
you
it.
have any questions?
Just, I guess from, this point forward, we're gonna have, an expectation of a monthly report or monthly summary where we're tracking this, making sure we're keeping, tabs on everything, all line items and ensuring.
That's
we're
the budget
go.
to actual, which, everybody,
Yep.
all the accounting experts I talked to said, yep, that's exactly what I would have done, and, everybody's on the same page, and that'll tell the story, and
Yeah,
if
it's also-
anything starts trending differently, we'll be able to spot it a lot sooner.
Get out ahead of it.
The only thing with budget to actual that's hard to do is I take the budget and I divide by 12. Well, that's not how your year goes. It's cyclical. You're going to have peaks at certain times of the year and valleys at other times.
Mhm.
But with the end of the year, with that captured, it's always a good idea. And then to plan. So I'll sit with Matt in the fall, and we'll look at next year's budget and see where we landed and if anything needs to be planned differently or just stay the same.
Now, 2 weeks ago, we put a moratorium on, and we voted for a moratorium to.
That's correct.
We talked about, we need we need a new digger, right?
Yes, we actually just got a quote in the other day from Tim Kiley down in Somerville.
Okay. And how much will the digger be?
It's somewhere around 280,000.
$280,000.
Yeah.
And when will that?
Well, it's going to take them a year to build it.
Okay.
So I will start negotiations with Tim. Unfortunately, that's how much trucks cost. I do plan on trying to whittle them down a little bit,
Mhm.
for sure. They make a good product. Some of the other utilities buy Altex I have a similar feeling as the guys in the shop that are going to be the ones using it.
Mhm.
I think Kylie makes a better product, and they have better service. I think that's really where they
Yeah,
come
I'm
into
very
play.
familiar with Kylie's.
You could also make a safety argument that it's just familiarity with the controls and the boom and all that type of stuff.
They make a good
So
point.
we'll work on them. The digger that we're replacing is 19 years old,
Okay,
which is, I'd like to probably see that cut down to about 15 years. So this one that we get next
Mhm.
year, this time next year, we'll plan on having it for about 15, and then we'll replace. But we'll work on Tim as far as getting that number down a little bit.
okay.
Pretty confident we can shave a little bit off that. But it's a needed piece of equipment. I mean, we're a small shop, and
Yeah.
it's 2 buckets and a digger. So without that digger, we're not setting new poles, and
Yep.
that's our foundation for everything else we build. So
Okay, as we go forward with the moratorium, what are your feelings, Brian?
Another,
Extended for another month?
maybe another month, so we can just get a
Okay.
good baseline.
Okay,
So yeah, that's totally okay. And if anything does come up, I'll just reach out to you guys and let you know what
Okay.
it is. I know we had our landscaper pass away that used to cut the grass over at the Daniels Road property. So we're in the process of getting guys up here to get some quotes and try to find the best bang for our buck as far as having that maintained.
Okay.
We don't want to let it just totally go and
Mhm.
turn into a hayfield. So there's a little bit of money spent there. But as those things come up, I'll just email you guys and let you
All right.
know.
Yeah.
And you can more or less give me the go, no go
Sure.
until we lift it the following month.
okay. With that, ask for a motion to extend the moratorium for another month.
I'll
on
second
spring.
that motion.
Okay, and, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. A little difficulty with just 2 members of the board here.
Can I ask a
Me.
question for, we need some inventory, is that on that as well?
And paper towels. We don't have any paper towels in the bathroom.
Well, there's small items we talked
Yeah,
about, but
like
we're
it's-
talking about
it's-
large capital items.
Just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is needed to continue to run the operation, the
Yep.
bills that we have to pay, that's all.
We need to connect.
That's all to go.
We're talking about large capital items, okay?
And when it does come to the large truck purchase, I mean, technically, we put away 3% of our fixed assets every year into the depreciation fund for that reason. So that wouldn't necessarily come out of operating cash. You can take it out of depreciation when it comes time to purchase the
Yep.
digger.
And they're for assets.
Okay.
I guess just briefly on the topic of the digger truck, could you kind of explain, the current condition of the existing truck, its end of life, has it reached the limits of its capabilities for?
Yeah, I mean,
Required replacement.
It's still got a little bit of value to it, right? It's still going to pass its inspection. It still drives down the road, but I mean, that's the one piece of equipment we have that takes a beating. I mean, you're putting an auger in the ground and just grinding
Sure.
on rocks and trying to dig through whatever's in the earth around here to get a 6 to 8 foot hole in the ground. It's lifting heavy transformers.
How old again?
Trees. It's 19 years old.
19 is,
It's
seen its
most
day.
utilities, especially municipals, they do 10 years
Hmm.
on all their heavy equipment, and like 7 years on the pickup trucks and errand run trucks and all that type of stuff. So it's again, it's a small shop. It's always been run, very very wise and tight, so to speak. So it's they stretched it 19 years. It's you can attribute that to the guys being good at what they do and not destroying the thing. I know what a lot of these trucks look at after 7 years. The fact that it's still in the condition
Sure.
it's in after 19 is pretty good.
I'm amazed to get 19 years out of a digger. That's,
Well, fortunately, we're a small town, and there's we're not racking up a ton of miles on it. But then you got to look at just it's New England, the salt.
Yeah.
Sure.
What happens to your vehicles. All the hoses that are exposed to that salt underneath, and the
I know.
hydraulic equipment, and pumps, and
I would say that the municipality gets money's worth out of that truck.
yeah, it'd be interesting to know how many poles got set with that thing.
On an average, you're looking at over 150 poles a year
Hmm.
for the last 10 years, I would say.
Yeah,
That's just sets, that's not removals,
Yeah.
that's not.
yeah, like I said, pretty
Doing some
impressive that it's
transfers
still in that kind of condition. But
okay.
it is time to get a new one, and the new one that we spec'd out is actually a bigger boom. The poles are only getting taller, and it's just, you know, you need that extra reach to clip in these hard corners and, you know, take the stress off the smaller equipment, so you can have two guys' hands up in the air working
Mhm.
and make it safer and all that stuff.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna skip and come back to item number 5. I want to go to number 6, okay? And we'll come back to number 5. Number 6, Kevin Snow vacancy. Okay, I'll read a letter. It's addressed to Brian and myself. Gentlemen, it is with some sadness that I announce to you that my resignation from the Board of Light Commission is effective immediately. Over the past several months, I have worked diligently when it came to researching and addressing the various issues that have come before the board. Unfortunately, the added activity and stress placed on me by this volunteer position has adversely affected me. I have reached the point at which I need to choose between family and my own well-being over the community. Though my time on the board was brief, I thank you from the entire staff at Raleigh Municipal Light. Sincerely, Kevin Snow. And this is dated March 22nd, 2019. And with that, we have to address the vacancy. I know we have an election. The election is coming up on, let me see, on the 14th. The next Raleigh Municipal Light meeting will be the 15th, okay, the day after the election. So I think it would probably be proper to ask for a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think the new board should do it. I will be off the board as of the evening of the 14th.
Sure.
So, but I think that we should send a letter, the two of us, to the Board of Selectmen and tell them of the vacancy and tell them that we need to meet in a joint meeting in order to pick a new commissioner to fill Kevin's spot.
Yeah, I agree, and I know this was recently done, so follow the proper procedure and
Okay.
do what we need to do with that.
So can we put a letter together, and I'll ask for a motion to put a letter together to send to the Board of Selectmen and to address the vacancy.
Sure.
Okay?
Now, is that something that I will draft up and send to them, or do you guys?
Yeah,
Yep.
you can put it together,
Okay.
okay? And come motion to send a letter to the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, I second motion.
Okay.
Make
I'm
the
not sure,
motion,
we've only
second.
got two of us here.
Yeah.
Second,
All in favor?
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll send the letter to the Board of Selectmen, okay? Because I think it's important that that gets filled.
Asking
As
for
soon
a
as-
joint meeting.
a joint
and
meeting.
asking that they appoint
Yeah.
somebody for the remainder of, well, it'll be a 1 year.
It'll be a 1 year it'll be from whenever the Board of Selectmen can get it in. Now, let's see, the board doesn't meet the 15th, so that'll be, probably take a couple of days to get in their hands. Maybe they'll get it in their hands by the 22nd, 29th. Okay, town meeting's the 6th. Probably looking at somewhere around the 20th at the earliest. To, you know,
Yeah,
The phone number six.
after the town.
yeah,
election.
after the town meeting. I think that's when it should be, when the new member is on the board.
Yep.
Okay?
Fair enough.
All right, and we wish Kevin all the best, and we understand the situation, and it's unfortunate. We've lost him. He was a good man. Okay.
Does anyone show interest? Or, I mean, can you schedule a meeting if there's gonna be no one to appoint?
What we will do, we'll send that letter over to the Board of Selectmen, and then they'll put a letter out to the community, okay? And they'll advertise it on the Raleigh community media, and that'll be out there, and whoever shows interest, and then it'll be up to the board members and the two boards to get together, and usually, you know, as we saw last time, it usually between the two light commissioners, they'll kind of have the weight one way or the other of appointing, and usually the Board of Selectmen goes along with it, okay? And that, again, anything can happen, you know, okay, but anyways, that's settled, and let's go back to item number 5, and this is the sick buyback policy, okay, this is from Mark Bixby. Mark is in the audience tonight with us, and you want to give us some background on this?
Sure. So the most recent Raleigh Light Department employees are offered a sick time buyback only upon retirement. There's been a lot of light shed on this from the IG or AG's office. There was a whole report that we spoke of at the previous couple meetings. They singled out a few utilities, bigger places. Raleigh was not one of them. Per previous conversations, Raleigh Light Department actually already follows 2 of the 4 recommendations. So we're sitting pretty good. We're in good shape. We don't have an excessive policy. It's not crazy. We're not paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars when people have decided to change jobs. It's only upon retirement. It's already capped. It correct me if I'm wrong. It's 50% of 150 days, so it equates to 75 days of pay. Now the policy that is in place, and we talked about this at length. It's not crystal clear as far as the policy goes, so there has been some debate on how the payout is calculated. But we did do some office digging. Thank you, Eric, for all your help, because he has a lot of history here. So there's been 4 employees that have taken advantage of this sick policy. They've followed the rules, and when they retired, their sick time was calculated on the rate of pay at which they left at. And it was pretty consistent as these last 4 employees left. So there was some debate. It kind of got flagged down at the treasurer's office on how it should be calculated and or interpreted. And like I said, we looked into the history of Raleigh Light Department, and from what I can tell, it's pretty consistent that we pay the employees the hourly rate at which they left on, provided that they met the rules and Eric's calculation on the spreadsheet for sick time use and what they didn't use and what was considered buyback hours.
It's not the dollar amount that I just want to make sure we follow the policy, okay?
Yep.
That's my concern. So there's no ambiguity that just as we did last time, Brian, as we sat here and we did it.
Yeah, I think and understandably, I think the letter that was presented to everybody and all the boards and all the general managers, it just put a lot of people at an uneasy state. Understandably so. Nobody wants to be cast in that bad spotlight. So again, it's our job and it's the board's job and it's people that work at the townhouse hall's job, to make sure that all the, T's are crossed and I's are dotted. I think that's what it really comes down to. It's you never take anything personal. It's policies and procedures, and people that are in these positions want to make sure that they're doing what they were elected to do is what it comes down to.
Now, there's a couple of different calculations here that I've received, okay? And Brian, you've seen, I think, all the same, everything that I have seen.
I have. I've seen the multiple different, approaches based on, interpretation of part policy.
Okay. Now, I spoke to the town treasurer, and when I spoke to the town treasurer, she made me aware of 3 policies.
Yep.
At three different stages, and
Yes.
that's going from 2001 to 2007, and then there's a policy in place from 2007 up till 2018.
Yeah, it was 2008, and then the 2008 policy was updated January of 2018.
Okay.
That's
And,
correct.
and then there's a policy coming into 2019. So those are the three policies we'll be looking at. Okay. Do you have any input to this, Brian?
I'll let you continue if you're.
Okay. Okay, so we have the light plant this is from Eric, this number.
Which
Okay.
calculation are you looking at, Bud?
Okay, I have Mark's final payroll.
Yes.
Okay, the present, and that would be, represents 1,200 hours under the Raleigh Municipal Light, sick buyback, 50%, and that came out to $32,028.
Capped at 1,200. Yep.
Okay? Okay. Now, I also have let me see. Then I have, who's this one? This, Brian, is this yours?
That was an initial review that I had looked over,
Okay,
and I
okay,
I have a different application towards the policy versus what was presented there when I submitted that
okay, so
for
yours
discussion.
came out to $27,223
Yeah, that was what I had initially
initially.
looked at, and
Okay.
I rescinded that.
You rescinded this?
At this moment, I do.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. All right, and then the town treasurer, of the three policies, and that figure came down to $23,190.15. And this is, you've seen this.
I have seen it.
You've seen
yes.
this, and you've seen this also.
Yes.
All right, now, this is this is why I want to do this exactly by the procedures, okay, and the policies, and put them together. All right, Brian, do you have any other calculations?
I do. I don't have it in paper. However, I did
Okay.
review it in accordance with previous
Okay,
payouts that have been done since, I believe, 2010 or
okay,
somewhere around that time frame in which Eric had provided that historical data on it. And in accordance with those policies, and then the way the 2018 policy reads, I calculated out to achieving the cap of the 1,200 hours,
okay,
and interpreted as the rate at which the employee retires,
right,
the current rate at when the employee retires,
okay,
for all hours.
For
that
all
are
hours.
available.
okay. And that calculation came up to?
That calculation matches the rate and the final payout that was provided on March 29th.
By the 32, so you're saying it's the 32,000,
Yep. $32,028.
$32,028, okay. Now, I'm confused about going back to the three policies, okay, and did you follow what the treasurer was saying?
I did. So Sue's calculation, Karen. I keep calling her Sue.
I know, that's,
Apologize again.
you count.
But anyway, she did, how she calculated it was she looked, because Mark had so many years of service and
Right.
started back in '87, she calculated a certain number of his hours under different rates, climbing, as he climbed the ladder, got pay increases,
Right.
that sort of stuff. So her calculation, the way she interpreted it, was, X number of dollars for year 2001, 2002, all the way up until he retired. Then he had a couple of years where, you know, whatever happened, happened, and he had used more than 4 sick days in that year, which made him non-eligible at the time. But as we dug deeper into it, what we found out is starting with Kenneth Keys in 2010,
Right?
Linda Susi, Christina Frizzell, and most recently Dan Folding. The way their sick time buyback was calculated was if they followed the rules, didn't lose their buyback rights for that year, it was calculated on the rate at which they departed, retired from the department. So that was how,
And
Eric.
also Nancy Teal was.
that's correct, thank you. Also Nancy Teal. So there's a track record of like a past practice of how it was calculated. So that was how Eric's calculation, which I also agree with, came up with $32,028.
Okay.
That was, his hours calculated at Mark Bixby's last rate the day he retired from
Okay.
Raleigh Light Department.
Now, discrepancy between that calculation and the treasurer's calculation.
Yep.
Okay. Where is the,
Well, again, the policy is not super clear. I know my own sick time policy coming from Reading Light Department.
Mhm.
There is a line item right in the policy that says it is calculated at the last rate at which you have when you, for me, it was leave the department.
Mhm.
Reading Light paid a buyback upon leaving, not just upon retiring. They have since changed it. I was more or less kind of grandfathered in because of when I got there. The hours have changed. They have 3 policies down there. They have an unlimited buyback, follow the rules, then they have, some employees get a 60-day, and then some employees get a
Okay.
30-day. But with the history here, with these employees that were calculated at that rate, what I'm familiar with, where I came with, I certainly think that was the intention. And I believe Eric's calculation to be correct in accordance with how we did it for the other employees that retired from Raleigh Light Department.
okay, on top of that, you went out, and I asked you to go out and get a legal opinion, okay?
Yes, I did.
And just briefly give us an update on the legal
It's
opinion.
KP Law's memo, Chris Pollard.
Yep.
Pollard. When you read through it and confuse yourself and then reread it and reread it again, it is a little confusing. But at the end of it, it says it's up to the board to make the final decision.
Mr. Chairman, last sentence on here said that rate of pay at retirement. So what is the question?
Mark, can you just hold on? I'm just trying to get,
All right.
that's, okay. But I'm looking at that policy, there's 3 different policies here, okay?
They all say the
That's-
same line.
Okay, just. So,
That was I stand corrected. That is the revised
Yep.
one. So the first one I looked at, I apologize for that, Mark.
okay,
It is in there.
The last sentence.
So there was a few different policies
the rate of
floating
pay
around
to
the
be used
office.
shall be the base pay of the rate of the employee at the time of the retirement or death. Okay, So-
That right there proves that the treasurer,
Okay.
by going by the year, was wrong.
okay, okay. Did Katie take a look? She not been privileged to this?
No,
Okay,
Katie,
all right.
it really isn't a.
Oh, do you not want me to look at this?
Oh, no, you can see it. He was
Yeah.
asking if you,
Yeah, no,
if you had read
can
all the
read- no, if you had
reports.
Oh,
read
no.
into this, okay, all right. Okay, all right, so
18.
I just want to make sure we're following the proper,
Yeah, and that was,
Policy
again, that was my
Okay.
mistake. I've pulled old policies and photocopied and put packets together, so again, that was my mistake, and I apologize for that.
all right. So, Brian, if you feel that it's the entire amount, and that is the proper way to figure this out?
Yeah,
Policy.
I've
Using
the
the
way
last policy that Matt had and gave to us, which would be
yes. the one that was of revision in January 2018 with the sick time buyback, leave buyback, that was June of 2010, 2008, sorry. Yes, and I think, there is a discrepancy or, an at odds with what one interpretation of the policies and the multiple ones over the years. But it's my impression, and based on the historical data, and then being consistent with the recent payouts, that it's that we should be consistent with the policy and honor it as it's laid out, but also as it's been calculated before.
Okay.
So I don't.
Did you happen to talk to Karen?
I had not. No.
No, you have not. Okay.
No, I've seen the data here, but after careful review of the other examples, I think my interpretation is much clearer.
Okay.
Is there a new policy now? Like that's.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at the January 10th, 2018.
I mean, in all of my past practices, he would be grandfathered in with whatever he got, which is on his letter. So I think if anybody got hired tomorrow, they would be on that new policy. But I mean.
Yep, it's from the old policy. All right. With that,
Is there any requirement? I don't think we have a requirement to vote on.
yeah, I think we have to vote on
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
So on the policies, on the final payroll, which figure, Brian?
Well, would we make a motion to vote on the accepting this particular?
Accepting that
letter?
was by, that Eric put together, the figure. So that would be the $32,028, and that represents the 1,200 hours under the Raleigh Light Department sick time buyback at 50% dollar value.
Yes.
Okay, well, that would be a motion.
I make a motion to accept that memo and dollar amount as dictated.
Okay, and I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, going into next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, again, get that letter over to the Board of Selectmen, and I can't think of anything else that needs to be, just address the budget again, and address the moratorium, and can you provide the new board with, just, budget update again?
Yeah, we're gonna do the budget to actual. I don't plan on bringing Katie next time unless
Okay,
you guys
yeah.
want her. I don't think
No, Katie, thank you for coming tonight. I know it's,
it was awfully nice of her
Oh, you're
to
welcome.
come down
I
here.
can come to the next one too if necessary.
it's important to, especially on, the last couple of weeks, we've been a little frantic here.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, we are in good shape.
Absolutely.
Multiple people have looked at at the numbers, and we're in great shape. So it was turned over in good shape, and we're going to continue to go that way.
Well, Matt, congratulations. This is my last meeting, so wish that everybody at the Raleigh Light all the best. Okay, and we'll see you around town. You know that. I know where you guys work. So. All right, all the best.
Same to you.
So, Mark, enjoy your retirement. Okay, all the best, and thank you for your years of service with the town.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I think we owe Bob a big thank you for serving on the board and doing what he did for the town and for the light department. I haven't been here that long, but I know it's a volunteer position, and it's time out of your. Everybody's got a busy life, and so.
It's been a good 6
Thank you,
years.
Bob.
Been
Speech.
really good. So
6 years.
with that, again, I'll see you around town, and can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I would second the motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody. We'll see you